Hi, everyone. I'm Lee, and I'm here with Shira, Juji, and Kim. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. Women struggle with many areas that can erode at their self-esteem. For many, beauty and looks are at the top of the list. So what do we do when the aging process takes hold? Interestingly, our attitude about aging, ugh,
Just
I'm
keep
gonna
going, keep going, keep going. Our attitude, just take it from there.
our attitude about aging can help inform how the process will unfold. Our group runs the gamut in age from our 30s to our 50s. So I think we've got some wisdom to drop. What's your attitude about getting older? Age before beauty here. So Shira, why don't you go first?
Well, I never. I'm happy to go first as the old sage wise one amongst us.
Ooh, good one.
Well, I'm gonna have to share a quote because I'm such a quote lover. So when we were house shopping many years ago, there was a plaque in a kitchen, and I read it, and I never forgot this quote. It says, "Never regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many." And I think that's kind of helped sustain me in terms of looking at just being alive as a privilege, and growing old goes along with that. So I think when you look at aging as a blessing, even with all its whatever, things can tend to, you get older, maybe you have health issues, whatever, but you can't worry about that at any given moment. And I will say that from a modeling standpoint, both of my parents, for all their faults and flaws, as parents always have always modeled for me um, taking care of oneself and aging with grace and humility, and not sort of like complaining about getting older. And so that's actually been a really nice thing. And I do absolutely believe that your attitude about it will impact how you feel about yourself and how you show up in the world. And so even at 56, I feel probably better now than I have in a really long time, because I'm at peace. I'm at peace with myself. And that's a big deal.
Well, I don't know if you feel that part of what you just shared, Shira, is a cultural thing, because, you know, I I grew up with my grandmother. She took care of us a lot when I was young, and she had kids fairly late in life, and then my mom had kids fairly late in life. So my grandma was old. She used a cane from the time that I can remember, and she never dyed her hair. She never used beauty products. So to her, aging was just, that's life, and there was no vanity involved. And I respected her so much as a human, and I looked up to her as somebody who had a lot of wisdom to offer to me. So I got to the US when I was fairly young, and people didn't have that kind of relationship with their grandmothers, either because they didn't live nearby, or it just didn't seem like a part of the family dynamic. And so I didn't feel that age and wisdom were, celebrated and appreciated the way they were in Hungary, where I grew up. So, funny story, I was walking down the street on the Upper East Side a few weeks ago, and I pass this spa all the time, and they have like little packets of eye cream that they like to hand out. And this 22-year-old girl hands me a packet, and she asks me, "Can I ask you how old you are?" And I go, "Oh geez, where is this going?" And she's like, "I'll tell you why I asked, because I just see that you have a little bit of wrinkling happening here, and you don't need Botox, but we have something for that." And I was like, "Oh, I never." And I like walked away, and I was so pissed off, or like I was laughing, but I was at the same time like, who does that 22-year-old think she is? I'm 37. I wear it with pride. And it's true. It is something to be proud of. Like, I wouldn't want to be 22 again. Like, absolutely not. I love the lessons that I've learned, and like they've shown up on my face. So that's all there is. And I'm not saying I'll never do anything to um, combat the aging process. I am a pretty vain person, I will admit. But I think there's something to be said for aging gracefully and appreciating the wisdom that comes along with that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And if I can piggyback on that, I'm thinking that also as I age, I place less value on certain things. You know, there's less focus on how much money somebody has and how, you know, where they live and what they're driving and what they look like. And so much more value on the wisdom and on the things that people can teach us and on integrity. How do you live your life? You know, how have you lived your life? What life lessons are you learning? Are you open to learning more? You know, and where you are right now, that is so much more attractive than anything having to do with, you know, your vanity.
Yeah, I mean, that's easier said than done for lots of people because of the culture. Juji made a really good point about the culture that we live in. And I think it really places, as we all are aware, a ton of value on youth. And I think that sort of the wisdom of our elders gets lost in the process. And that is such a shame. It's such a shame that we can't, because young kids need that, right? They need the more experienced people to look up to get advice from, to tap into their worldly knowledge. So what do you think that's about?
You know, for a long time growing up, I went to go visit my grandmother in a nursing home, and you know, she had, you know, some mental and physical problems, so she wasn't really all there. So she was in a wheelchair and she could barely spoke, and we would go every weekend, me and my dad and my sisters, and visit her. And the nursing home was filled with people like this. They were all older, you know, had trouble speaking or walking or whatever. And I remember being young and just thinking, I don't want to get old. I do not want to be in a nursing home. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I'd rather die at 50 than like ever live a life like this. This is not quality of life to me. And I know that those circumstances are, you know, unique. Not everybody ends up needing special care like that, right? But as I've gotten older, I too am starting to really shift my perspective, just looking at the wisdom of older people. I think that, you know, a lot of times I'll hear younger people make fun of older people. And I almost wonder somewhere deep down, because I'm sure I had the same attitude about older people too. It's almost like this thing, like you're like, no, I don't, you just resist it like mad. Like you don't want to be that. And I think it's just fear. I think it's just fear. I think when you're young, it's scary. I think a lot of people have, especially our youth, have this picture of old, like it's decrepit and falling apart and needing someone to change your diaper and feed you, and like, you know, and who wants that, right? Like who wants that? We want to be strong and healthy and be sharp and enjoy our life until one day we just die in our sleep. That's how I would like to go. But you know, now that I'm older, and recently my parents are getting older. They're in their mid 70s. My dad is now in his late 70s. And I've been taking care of my mom a little bit while she had an injury. And it's really shifted my perspective on wanting to take care of her as she gets older. But I'm seeing so clearly the ways that she doesn't take care of herself and the ways she does and the ways I help her. And it's pulling me. Part of me makes me a little sad, right? And then there's another part of me that's just wanting to be a nurturing, caring daughter and helpful and take care of her. But it's honestly, it's bringing about a whole mix of emotions in me, because I think I'm 44. So I think a lot of people my age and your ages too are dealing with, you know, parents getting older, and you're like seeing it before your eyes. And there is a part of it that's sad. And then there's another part of it that's you know, like, I just, like, my dad is the best example. I look up to him in a way because he just has the best attitude. So he's this 77-year-old man who has, like, he acts like like a 20-year-old. Like, he just has so much energy, and he walks every day, and he works, and he just talks to people, and he makes them laugh. And so I really, seeing someone like him with his perception of life and his attitude in life, just, I think him being his age is super cool. And I want to be like that when I get old, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but I have a bit of mixed emotions about it.
That's beautiful. And I think Z wanted to say something about this.
Well, I think I love the quote that you started with, Shira. And when we started having a conversation about having this conversation, I said that I had recently seen a meme that said, the goal is to die young as late as possible. And it's so interesting that your perception of old age was what it was, Kim, because yeah, that must inform how you look at aging. Whereas my grandma died at 100 and she had never lived in a home.
Wow.
She was never taken care of by anybody except for the last couple months of her life. She had a live-in nurse, and it was just clear that she was ready to go. Her sister died last year at 107 years old, and she was like still having phone calls with my mom on a regular basis and like could remember everything. And their attitude was everything when it came to life, you know, just being grateful for the life that they lived, being loving towards their families and keeping up with what was going on with them, and living a fulfilling, joyful life where it wasn't about worry and it wasn't about like nitpicking the little things, but like being very cognizant of the big picture of what life offers.
And it sounds like there's also an acceptance among certain people of that it's natural, and there's an acceptance there, a natural acceptance. And then there's people, you know, who resist it because of the fear. I remember reading an interview with Courtney Cox, and she was just saying how much she's just internally struggling like crazy that she's getting older, you know. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who feel that way, especially in Hollywood. But I just want to add, when I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I'll never forget my one of the teachers had said once, he said, you know, you can live into your 90s incredibly healthy. Like, you don't have to, old is not, you know, getting older is not, you don't have to be sick and broken. And that always stuck with me. And now that I'm into a healthy lifestyle and I watch what I eat and I exercise and I, you know, have all my healing tools that I practice all the time and all that, I really see this picture of old now as something really beautiful and healthy. I no longer I don't have this view of it that's, you know, sad. And this, I mean, I might get a little sad when I look at my mom sometimes as I watch her get older, and when she gets sick or she's dealing with some type of, you know, ailment or something. But I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared of it at all.
Yeah. There's you start to realize that, you know, you can live well into your 90s and feel great, you know, and do things and have a quality of life. So yeah, there's the two ends of the tangent where people look at old people as being miserable and unhealthy, and they're on all these drugs and they're suffering. And then there's the opposite end where some people are thriving, you know, like Jack LaLanne did. And sometimes it could be all about your nutrition and being active. And sometimes it's also a mind frame, I think. I think your mental way of perceiving yourself getting older is such a huge thing. I mean, I'm 53 now, and I'm in the type of business where I meet a lot of people. We go over their health histories and stuff, and I can't tell you how many that I've met in their 50s and 60s that succumb to the thought of like, well, I'm getting older, and that's why my back hurts, and I'm just getting older. They attribute everything to the number of their age, and that is it. And that is such really not a great way to look at it. because age is really only a number. But
No, it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? When we say, "Oh, I'm 50 now," or "Oh, I'm 60 now," or "Oh, I'm 70." But it's just a thought. It really is just a thought. And
yeah,
and speaking of thoughts, something just occurred to me when we were talking about younger people when you're young, right? You can choose all different paths. Like, this is my career. I want to be a mom. I don't want to be a mom. Like all of these things, or a parent. But we're all on the path to getting older. There's not one person on this planet who's not going to experience that, right? And I find it so interesting. It's almost like weird that a young person would make fun of an old person, because it's like, well, you're going to be there before you know it, pal. So I'm not sure who you're making fun of.
right.
But I also want to say that fear of aging equals not being present. Because if you can look at I'm going to sound a little woohoo right now, so forgive me, but if you don't look at every single day as a gift, as the miracle that it is, of the fact that you're alive and you get to experience things and eat the food and join, with your friends, and nurture your relationships and move ahead in the world with your career, whatever it is that how you want to experience the world, if you don't look at it as the miracle that it is every single day, you're totally missing out. And then you're just worrying about something, you're projecting yourself into a future that may or may not come. Because look, we're living through a pandemic right now. How many hundreds of thousands of people around the world have died they didn't expect this was going to happen. So, and like we always say, you get hit by a bus tomorrow. It's true. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So if you're not living right now, no matter what age you are, you're not living.
Can I just piggyback on that for a second? I just did a post. You guys probably saw it. I bought this adorable little red cardinal statue.
Yes.
Here's the thing. It's like so tiny. Because this is the symbol of my brother-in-law who passed away 3 years ago. He was 44, my age right now. He was 44 years old. And I bought it thinking of him, of course. And then I thought, oh my gosh, he died at my age right now. And it just made me think of all these beautiful moments in life, and like what is so beautiful about life that I would want, not want to leave. Everything from people to food to places to visit, experiences, events, like conversations like this, you name it. It just makes me so appreciative. And I look at someone like my dad, who's 77, and he literally is like that, Shira. He wakes up every day like, I'm so lucky to be alive today. And I wish everybody, including myself, has that attitude at his age,
Yeah, we start to place a lot more value on being able to get up and be okay with standing and using our limbs and all of that. That's amazing. And I loved what you said about, if you're not living, you have to be living it like now. What was that you said actually? Was it a quote or?
No. Shockingly, no. I just think if you're not looking at every day as the miracle that it is, and you're projecting yourself into a future that's like not even here yet, you're not living. It doesn't matter what age you are.
That was it. That was exactly it.
By the way, my dad is 92 and a half, and he is unbelievable. And my mom's 82, and both of them are just like, thank God. I mean, I have a lot of friends whose parents are really, really struggling. So, and I'm not saying I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but I've been very grateful that they take good care of themselves, because that's the first layer, right? If you're not taking good care of yourself mentally,
we have to take care of ourselves. Yeah, we need to. So I think this is a great place for us to wrap it up. Thank you, gals, for sharing. If you love our conversations, please click like and subscribe to our channel. Tell a friend, spread the word. Please also let us know if you have any comments or questions, or if there's a topic that you would like us to request. We'll see you soon, and stay safe.
Thank you.